Oi, oi, hello, welcome to another GG.CO.UK video, kindly sponsored by Boyle Sports. This time we're back in Britain. It's Ascot's Champions Day we'll be featuring in this video. It's been in place since 2011. It brought the season end fixtures from Ascot and Newmarket together. In that 2011 inaugural running, we saw Frankel win at a mile. He came back 12 months later to win at 1 mile too. That was his last race. One of the greatest, if not the greatest flat horse that we've ever seen. That is the standard and the caliber we can expect at this fixture. Now, going with that, the top horses must attract the top prize money, right? It's worth over £4 million in prize money. That's the whole fixture, not just one race. And that makes it Britain's richest race day. Now, this year, we've got some big stars that could potentially be on show. There's Calpana. We've got Economics, the new next best thing. Kyprios. Aidan O'Brien said after his Prix de Cadran run that we could see him run at Ascot before a break over the winter. Then we've got a real decent sprint race where we've got the youngers and the olders taking on each other. And of course, that juicy handicap too. We're also going to see the girls go up against each other. So we've got ourselves some seriously good action. And I'm going to go through the last few renewals. Well, I say the last 10 renewals to look at trends and patterns to see if we can figure out what it takes to win these races, to see if we can help whittle down those fields. As I say, it attracts some of the top and the best horses around the UK. It is the culmination of the British Champion Series. So with that said, we should find this easy, you would imagine, but the results may not go that way for all of the races. So as I say, I'm going to go through those trends and tips and we'll have a look at them now. So let me pull those up. We'll talk through each of the races. You can click a link in the description to find the actual copy file. It's got a nice image that you can save on your phone if you want a quick cheat sheet. That's easy for you to say. Has a little caption for each one, but you can go and look at the bullet points that build up that summary statement and sort of pick and choose which ones work best for you. Also, please make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you like the video and drop a comment below for your best bet for Champions Day this year. So let's crack on. First race that runs on the card is the Long Distance Cup. We saw Trawlerman win it last year for the Gosdens, 9-1 poke, and he was one of the bigger price winners in the last decade. We've had an 11-1 shot in Trushan the first time that he won the race in 2020, and we've seen, easy for you to say, in 2016, Sheikh Zezerode, 11-1 for David Simcott. But we've had a lot of horses that have been relatively well fancied. We've had 4 favourites go in. Trushan when he won it the second time, Stradivarius, Order of St George, and then again Trushan when he won it for the third time in 2022. So from a price perspective, should Kyprios line up in here, he would be a very warm order and a very hard horse to beat. But he hasn't been 100% confirmed that he will be coming here. That statement's true at the time of recording. So let's have a little look and see what the stats would say for the last 10 to help us whittle down this field. 9 of the last 10 winners had won 2 or more times that season. 9 of the last 10 winners finished in the top 2 last time out, but 7 of those had won. So preference for that. 8 of the last 10 winners raised 4 or 5. 8 of the last 10 winners had already run at Ascot, and of those 8, 5 had won there. 8 of the last 10 winners had already run at 2 miles, and 6 of those had won. So where we've got those running at markers, we really want to preference the ones that have got the winning markers too. And then 6 of the last 8 winners had won a Group 1. So this is a Group 2, but they had won a Group 1. So that might help us whittle down the field for the first race. Let's see if it's just as easy for the second race on the card, which is the first of the Group 1s. It's the British Champions Sprint Stakes. Now, Kinross currently at the anti-post prices is a 9-2 favourite. Montasib, who got Grade 1 glory last time out, is second in the betting at 6-1. It is a competitive betting heat at the anti-post stage, and it typically is when we get to the meeting too. We've had 3 favourites, one of those being a joint favourite, a 5-2 shot, a 5-1 joint favourite, and a 3-1 favourite. That was Kinross a couple of years ago. He was turned over by Art Power last year after going 101 in running. Not that that makes me sad still to this day, but it does a little bit. But it's one of these races where we have had a few shocks. 40-1 last year, 33-1 Don Juan, triumphant as well. 28-1 Sands of Mali, even 16-1 Glen Shields as well. So this might be a race. I don't know, we could get a good favourite this year, but it may be a race where you want to look beyond that. And I wonder why that is. So from the stats that we've looked at for the last 10, all of the last 10 winners had already run at Ascot, and 9 of those more than once. So being running at the Berkshire course before you go win this race seems vital. 9 of the last 10 winners had an official rating of 112. Potentially treat those ones with pinches of salt because it depends on the caliber each year, but we're going to see some good horses. That's fine. 8 of the last 10 winners did not win last time out. 8 of the last 10 winners had won a race that season, though. 8 of the last 10 winners had 5 or more runs that season. 8 of the last 10 winners had 3 or more wins at 6 furlongs, which is today's trip or Saturday's trip, and seven of the last 8 winners, had not already won a Group 1, which is quite a staggering fact. But as I touched on, there's been 40 to 1, 16 to 1, 33 to 1, 28 to 1, 10 to 1, and even a 13 to 2 poke in there. There's been some big priced winners in there, right? But where I said in the first race, although it's a Group 2, you want that Group 1 winning form, it's not necessarily essential in this race. The sprint division can, I suppose, be a bit more maybe competitive and could throw up a few more shocks, but they're the lines that we want to use to get in here. So it may still keep quite a few runners in there, but I think we've got enough markers to use there to hopefully whittle down the field enough. Maybe we could find ourselves a nice price winner in the second race. Now, 2:35, it's time for the ladies to come to the fore. I touched on Kalpana being in here. She was a ready winner last time out. Looked like an absolute aeroplane. She's put in a 7-4 favourite in here. She is a 3-year-old, so she's going to get a little bit of weight. Looks like it's probably her race to lose. But if we look at the history, I was going to say historical races. If we look at the history of this race, we've had a few favourites in here, which will be typical theme for most of the races here. But we've also had plenty that haven't. We've had 3 of the last 10 have been favourites, 3 to 1, 4 to 1, 7 to 4. So you're not far off level stake profit by just backing the favourite. Poptronic won it last year for Carl Burke at 22 to 1. Carl Burke seems to go well this time of year, doesn't he? He's doing well at the minute. Ashada as well won at 16 to 1. That was in 2021. So within those last 5 years, 2 winning favourites, but 2 big price winners. You go back a bit further, you've got Aidan O'Brien winning it a couple of times, Magical and Hydrangea, 5 to 1, 4 to 1, respectively. And then Journey, Simple Verse, Madam Xiang for David Simcock. That man, again, his name is popping up, isn't it? So, looks a good race. It does obviously depend each year on what the renewals will be. But from what I found from looking at the last decade, all of the winners have won this season. Should probably go without saying in a Group 1. They all had 3 or more runs that season, so hopefully that would be true of most horses. But again, potentially horses that have had to miss the spring wouldn't be a good sign coming in here. 9 of the last 10 winners had already won at 1 mile 4. 8 of the last 10 winners ran 35 days ago or less, and the ones that didn't finished last. So I guess what I'm saying within that is that the horses should have really run within the last sort of 6 weeks. If they haven't, or 5 weeks, sorry, or if they haven't, then they should have finished last, and potentially there would have been an issue or a setback within those. So again, might not whittle down the field too much, but as much as I would say you want to look for horses running the last 5 weeks, if something's got a genuine reason and they proper bombed as well, so finish last, then don't completely discount those ones. 8 of the last 10 winners were 3-year-olds. That's Kalpana box ticked, and 7 of the last 10 winners had an official rating of 111 plus. So again, it does depend on the caliber each year, but that would be the marker against Kalpana. Only 107 at the moment, but of course 3-year-old gets weight in this particular sphere, could be okay. But look, it is a champions division. It is a proper race. You can't get in here if you're not ready to go and win this. So we'll see what happens. I'm a big fan of her. I think she's a good looking horse, but we're doing this as a trends piece, less opinion based. Right. Now we've got the QE2. This is the race that Frankel won in 2011, over a mile. Sharon is a short price favourite for this, 6 to 4 as it stands, 120 rated. The depth in behind possibly could be questionable, but we've seen year after year in this race that there are no bad renewals. We've seen Baid win this when he wasn't sent off favourite. Roaring Lion won this when he was, but a 2 to 1 favourite. Minding won this. There's just been loads of good horses. Even Big Rock, when we still thought he was a weapon, won it last year. So we've had 3 winning favourites. I mean, you'd be losing on level stake profit if you were betting those. We've had 33 to 1 winner Bayside Boy. We've had 12 to 1 winner King of Change. But other than that, it's been single figures and relatively well fancied horses. We've had a few French raiders that have come over and won this too. But yeah, Sharon looks to be the standout contender for this year. Let's see if he ticks the boxes that historically it's taken to win this race. So all of the last 10 winners at least placed last time out, 7-1. 9 of the last 10 winners had 3 or more runs that season. 9 of the last 10 winners had already won that season. 9 of the last 10 winners had already won at 1 mile. 8 of the last 10 winners last ran 35 days ago or less. So similar to the fillies and mares. 7 of the last 10 winners had 5 or more career wins. 7 of the last 10 winners were 3-year-olds. And 7 of the last 10 winners had an official rating of 118 plus. So let's see if that helps us whittle down the field. Right, moving on to the race that Frankel retired after, the Quitco Champions Stakes. Middle distance, it's 1 mile 2. Proper race, and this is where we're going to see Irish Champions Stakes winner Economics come here, the 3-year-old, the one that potentially could have gone to a derby, but they saved him, and it might be paying dividends now. There's Calandigan for the French trainer that could be coming over. He's his closest market rival on the bet at 2 to 1. It would be a 2-horse race on paper or in the betting markets if those two were to line up against each other, but there is a bit of depth behind depending on ultimately who Aidan O'Brien sends in here. But if we look at this race, it has been good for favourites, but there's been plenty of short ones in here too. Last year's favourite, King of Steel, he won this at 3-1. Magical at even money. We've had Cracksman twice, 5-6 and 13-8. Almanzor at 11-8. And then we've had a few bigger priced winners, but they've been 9-1, 10-1s, and 12-1. So there's not been anything that's been an outlandish shock in this race. You're going to find that, I suppose, if you've got real good horses, you have to have shown the ability, or we have to be, it has to be like a known ability that you can compete at this top tier. There are no bad versions of this Champion Stakes. 9 of the last 10 winners had 4 or more career wins. Not the last winner, though. 8 of the last 10 winners had an official rating of 120 plus. 8 of the last 10 winners had already won at 1 mile 2. 8 of the last 10 winners had already won at least a Group 2. And 7 of the last 10 winners ran 35 days ago or more. So slightly different bag for that for some of the other Group 1s that we've got on the card. But looks a fascinating race, and it really does seem to be all around economics as a future. He's already a bit of an aeroplane, but a future superstar. Right, finish off with a handicap, the Balmoral handicap. As it stands at the moment, Race Beckett's got Kirat for Judmont as favourite in here. Not so long after winning the Arc for the same connections. Now, we look at this race in terms of a betting perspective. We've had a 25-1 winner last year, an 80-1 winner 2 years ago. We've had 16-1 winner in there. We've had a 20-1 winner. And then the rest have been shortish prices when you've got a big field handicap. We've had one winning favourite, Lord Glitters, in 2017, 3-1 favourite. That was for David O'Meara. But David O'Meara had Escobar, the 16-1 winner, and the 80-1 winner in 2022. So let's see if we can figure out what it's going to take to probably win a Balmoral. Now, I haven't done an absolute flood of stats on this. Being a big handicap, you probably could. And sometimes there can be track bias from earlier season meetings that can have a bit of an influence on there. But the ones that I thought were important and relative to say, as I say, you can click the link to see all of them in depth. Was all of the last 10 winners ran 25 days ago or less, so recent runs. All of the last 10 winners had not run further than 10 furlongs. 9 of the last 10 winners came from stall 11 or lower. So again, talk about year bias. If that seems to be a differential from that, then you need to take note. 9 of the last 10 winners were Irish or British bred. 8 of the last 10 winners were aged 4 or 5. And 8 of the last 10 winners carried between 9 stone 1 and 9 stone 6. So that is it. That is the 6 races for Champions Day at Ascot. One of the best single days fixtures around, not only just on this side of the sea, but anywhere. There's top class horses in there. There's some good action to get stuck into, distances and races for everybody. And obviously we've got the nice handicap to finish up as well. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do like and subscribe. We will catch you again very soon.